श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपी गो श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय। संवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री गुरु गौरांग की जय। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति विकास स्वामिने नमः। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते। श्रीमद् भागवतम कैंटो 3 चैप्टर 7. Further inquiries by Vidura. Text number 26. Kindly repeat after me. Uparyadascha ye loke. Sorry. Uparyadascha ye loka. भूमेर मित्रात्मजासते। भूमेर मित्रात्मजासते। तेषां संस्थां प्रमाणं च। भूर्लोकस्य च वर्णस्य वर्णया। उपर्यदस्य ये लोका। भूमेर मित्रात्मजासते। तेषां संस्थां प्रमाणं च। भूलोकस्य च वर्णया। उपर्यदस्य ये लोका। भूमेर मित्रात्मजासते। तेषां संस्थां प्रमाणं च। भूलोकस्य च वर्णया। Don't want to recite? What's happening? Uparyadascha ye loka. Word to word meanings. Upari, on the head. Adaha, underneath. Cha, also. Ye, which. Lokaha, planets. Bhumehe, of the earth. Mitra Atmaja, O son of Mitra. Maitreya Muni. Asate, do exist. Tesham, there. Samstam, situation. Pramanam cha, also their measurement. Bhulokasya, of the earthly planets. Cha, also. Varnaya, please describe. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, C.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. O son of Mitra, kindly describe how the planets are situated above the earth as well as underneath it. And also, please mention their measurement as well as that of the earthly planets. Purport. Yasmin vigyate sarvamevam vigyatam bhavati. This Vedic hymn declares emphatically that the devotee of the Lord knows everything material and spiritual in relationship with the Lord. Devotees are not simply emotional, as is ill-conceived by certain less intelligent men. Their direction is practical. They know everything that is and all the details of the Lord's domination over the different creations. ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनश्लाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे साधु साधु हरे कृष्ण। उपरयतश्च ये लोका भूमेर्मित्रात्मजासते तेषां संस्थां प्रमाणं भूर्लोकस्य वर्णय। So in Srimad Bhagavatam there are 10 topics are discussed. Those 10 topics are mentioned in the end of the second canto. Second canto, 10th chapter, verse number 1, 2, etc. Some 8, 10 verses they discuss. So they are listed in the first and second verse, and then they are little defined in the next few verses. Atra sarga visargasya sanam poshanamutaya manvantareshanukata nirodho muktir ashrayaha. So atra sarga visargasya. Sarga means creation, visarga means secondary creation. So that means primary creation is done by Purushas, 3 Purushas. No, the first Purusha, Karanadakshay Vishnu, his creation is called as Sarga. Then afterwards, within the universe, whatever Brahma creates, it is called as Visarga. Sthanam Poshanamudaya. Sthanam means where all what is situated, which loka is where, what is the distance from the earth, etc. That is sthanam. Which kind of living entities reside in which kind of places. And Poshana means protection by the Lord. That is discussed, how Lord protects. Udaya means withdrawal of creation. Manvantareshanukata nirodho muktirashayaha. So Manvantara, different Manvantaras, Lord's appearance in different Manvantaras. Then Manvantara means it's a duration of the reign of each Manu. Then Ishanukata, Lords, different avataras and their. So Nirodho Muktirashayaha. Nirodha means destruction. So how this universe is destroyed at different levels. So that is discussed. There are 4 kinds of destruction. Then about liberation of the living entities from the material world. Ashaya, shelter, that is 10th topic. So how Supreme Lord Krishna is the shelter of everything. He is the embodiment of everything. Everything rests in him. And it says that to discuss this 10th topic, Ashaya, all other topics are discussed, because all other 9 topics, they help us to appreciate the 10th one, the glories of the 10th one. Anyway, So one topic was sthanam, where all what is discussed. So this verse speaks about sthanam, where is what. उपर्यदश्च ये लोका भूमेर्मित्रात्मजासते तेषां संस्थां प्रमाणं च भूर्लोकस्य च वर्णयः. But this is what he is asking. So knowledge about within in this universe. So sthanam, why different lokas are created, different places are created. Just like in this small town of Chikmagalur, there are different kinds of houses are built, different kinds of apartments are built. So what is the purpose of all these apartments? Because people with different caliber, different different cost of living, who can afford to different cost of living, they can purchase different kinds of houses, live in them. Similarly, according to one's karmic qualification, so different jivas need different kinds of places for their whatever enjoyment or suffering in this world. So according to the karmic qualifications of the jivas, so different places are created to accommodate different kinds of jivas, and living entities have desire to enjoy in a different way. So different arrangements are made for them. Variety is created by the three modes of material nature. So there are upper planetary systems, lower planetary systems, then there is Earth. So in this way, so all this creation takes place. Now modern scientists are also trying to send their, now recently, so they are trying to send their machines to understand different planets. So the point is, and they study with their limited understanding. So it is like Kupa Manduka Nyaya. For instance, the whole purpose is, I don't know what is the purpose, goal of their life. One thing is the natural curiosity of human mind to understand the world. That can be one reason. So another stupidity is they want to migrate to the other planets. Like there are now some real estate companies who are collecting money, saying that we are going to transfer you people to the moon and we will give place there. So this is stupidity. I mean to say, human beings maybe want to migrate to those places, to other planets, other lokas. That can be one purpose. So just yesterday or today, one Nobel laureate in physics who just got a Nobel Prize in just few days back, he made a comment that human beings will not migrate to the other. I forgot, for physics he got Nobel Prize, forgot his name. So anyway, they want to migrate to the other planets. That is one thing, one reason. Another reason is just out of natural spontaneous curiosity to know the universe, know the world outside our earth. So that can be the reason. So why that can be reasoned. But if you see the whole modern academia, which includes science, cosmology, everything, so the purpose of life is not determined. Purpose of life means for them, okay, enjoy sense gratification. This life is all in all. We have to enjoy sense gratification. So what is the difference between, we devotees, we are those who are Vedic followers, and modern academic scholars? They are also trying to know the inverse. We are also trying to know the inverse. Here Prabhupada, he says that the Vedic hymn declares emphatically that devotee of the Lord knows everything material and spiritual in relationship with the Lord. The purpose of this discussion, like I said, that 10th topic, Ashaya, to know the glories of the Supreme Lord. So, to understand his glories, his Vaibhava, grandeur, and the glory of Supreme Lord. So that is the purpose of this study. And so for them, they are not sure whether God is there. And their whole purpose is more or less everything is atheistic, that there is no God. So the difference is, from the beginning here the hypothesis or thesis is that there is God, a God is there, and this is all his expansion of his energies, and we should appreciate him. And so what is the benefit of knowing him is that we have eternal relationship with him. So that is how it goes. And for them, especially the modern science, nature is all in all. There is no God beyond nature. Laws of the physics or laws of nature, the whole nature is, creation is governed by these laws of physics, and we have to understand them. But ultimately there is no actually solid purpose behind knowing the study of our existence or study of the nature. So it's basically what we can say. It is to satisfy the ego of some atheistic people who are bent upon that there is no God. So to satisfy, the whole modern academics is developed. Science is developed. Modern science is developed. So, and they keep people in ignorance. Just to keep people in ignorance, they have to keep doing some activities. Some time to time they will send some machine here and there. So, or send some news that, very soon some asteroid is going to hit the earth. So in recent times I am observing that there is so much scientific news that this asteroid is very coming close to the earth, or going to hit or destroy the earth, this, that, so many things. So I don't know, it's all fake news or so many things. Anyway, the thing is, we also study the universe, but the purpose is completely different. And so we claim to know better than them because their approach is Dr. Frog in the Well approach. So trying to understand everything by our own well, one's own experience. Now They are sending, recently Chandrayaan 2 was sent, and whole India was very emotional about it. Oh, it's a great achievement, we sent it. So the purpose is to study moon. And so what is their purpose? They are trying to so understand. So in the moon lander, lunar lander, what they call as, so the machine which they sent, so that will go there and it will take some pictures and it will send to the people who are sitting here, and they will try to study that. So of course it's a whole thing that there is just like in different states, nations, there is arms race. Similarly, there is a scientific race is there. We are also very scientific. We want to show to the world that Indians want to show that they are also very scientific. Scientific achievements, race for scientific achievements, inventions and achievements. So, but the whole thing is, the purpose will not, purpose to know this method of studying the universe itself has, it is what you call as manufactural defect. There is a term called manufactural defect. What is that manufactural defect? Whenever you bring a gadget, from the time of manufacture there is a problem with that gadget. So similarly, modern science has a manufactural in their approach or in their methodology of study or knowing knowledge. There is a manufacturing defect that we will try to know everything just by experience. So that is called as empiricism. So empiricism is axiomatic, but that itself is nonsense. So their purpose, just like in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Moga asha moga karmano moga jnana vichetasa rakshasim asurim chaiva prakritim mohinim shrutaha. So they will be bewildered. Material nature will cheat them. Lord's illusory energy will cheat them. Moga asha moga karmano moga jnana vichetasa. If you see that verse in Bhagavad Gita, that is 9.12. So the word moga word comes again and again. So moga means baffled. So they will be baffled in their hopes. Moga asha, moga in their activities, baffled in activities. Moga jnana, baffled in knowledge. Vichetasaha, bewildered. Rakshasim, asurim, chaiva, prakritim, mohinim. So again mohinim. Actually this moga, vichetasa and mohinim, so all they are more or less equivalent words. So again and again Krishna says that they will be baffled, they will be cheated. So we can see their hopes was like Chandrayaan 2, their hope was shattered, and their activity was shattered. It was failed endeavor. And the moga jnana, baffled in knowledge, the hopes which they were expecting that we will get to know about moon. So in everything they were, so these are rakshasim, asurim chaiva, demonic, atheistic. Of course, before launching that, they did a special puja to Lord Venkateshwara, Balaji. So this is typical modern India for them, and they also even calculated Rahu Kala, a proper time for launching and all these things. But these foolish Indians, they don't understand that Vedic culture and worship of the Lord is not meant for asuric activities, demonic activities. So why it is asuric and demonic launching Chandrayana 2? Because Krishna says that is not the way to understand knowledge. So tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshantite jnanam jnanena tattvadarshina. We have to approach a bona fide spiritual master who knows the essence of Vedic knowledge. So, and that's how we have to learn it. So empiricism is not the way of gaining knowledge. So they will be baffled. Their whole purpose of learning about moon and all will be baffled. Why? Because moon, Chandra Loka is a completely a different loka. It is not same as what we are residing in the earth. So it has complete different what we call as how to put it in it's a different environment altogether, just to make it simple, different environment. So to know about that, using our faculties of our environment, like faculties of our environment means our senses or our instruments. So it is not possible, or we may come to know something about it, but we will not be able to come to know completely about it. So therefore we can't understand. Now this purport, Prabhupada, he says that Vidura asked Maitreya to tell about different lokas, what is above the earth, what is below the earth, what is the measurement, distance and everything. Now there are Prabhupada, he says that Yasmin Vigyate Sarvamevam Vigyatam Bhavati. He quotes this verse. This is from Chandogya Upanishad. So that by knowing Krishna, we'll come to know everything. So the devotees of the Lord knows everything, material and spiritual. In relationship, devotees are not simply emotional. So Prabhupada, he just uses this, this. If you see Yasmin Vigyate Sarvam Evam Vigyatam Bhavati. Yasmin Vigyate. Yasmin means by knowing him or Parabrahma. So we will come to know everything about everything. We will know everything, he says. That so in Bhagavad Gita also Lord Krishna, he says that Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vaksham shishata yajnatva neha bhuyonya jnatavyam avashishyate. So Jnanam teham savijnanam. I will tell you both phenomenal and nominal. So Prabhupada sometimes he theoretical as well as practical or realized knowledge, he says. Theoretical knowledge, jnana means theoretical knowledge and vijnana means realized knowledge. So I will read the translation of that verse. Why? Because it's I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known further shall remain for you. Nothing further shall remain for you to know. So that means what Krishna says, Krishna claims here that by knowing what Krishna is going to speak here in this chapter or whatever later part of that, after that chapter, from that chapter onwards, so that we will come to know everything. Nothing remains unknown. In the purport, Prabhupada, he says that actually this verse, Yasmin Vigyate Sarvam Evam Vigyatam. It is from Mundaka Upanishad. So Prabhupada, he puts it in a very nice words. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known and nothing remains unknown. So Prabhupada writes, when cause of cause, all causes becomes known, when everything knowable becomes known and nothing remains unknown. Now everything knowable becomes known, he says. Everything knowable means what is necessary to know, actually. What is required to be known. So becomes known and nothing remains unknown. So Prabhupada was asked by one person. So if you say that you know everything, then how many windows are there in Empire State Building, he asked. But is it worth knowing? What is the use of knowing how many windows are there? What is going to make difference if you know or don't know about it? So is it knowable to know how many windows are there in the Empire State Building, which anyway collapsed, which is going to die or end at certain point of time? What's the point in knowing? So therefore here Prabhupada, he says that knows everything material and spiritual in relationship with the Lord. So that is a point which is important. So we should know in relationship with the Lord. Anyway, the point here Prabhupada, he makes that devotees are not simply emotional as ill conceived by certain less intelligent men. So this point is there. Bhakti is meant for traditionally within the Vedic circles, Gyanis, Mayavadis, they criticize devotees saying that they are emotional. And they are devotees means they are devotees. Bhakti yoga is meant for less intelligent people. Those who cannot study, those who cannot follow the Jnana yoga. So that is a traditional argument from traditional point of view. So then in modern days, devotees, are they recognized as in the academic world? That do we have any say in the academic world? So we don't have any say in the academic world. We may be popular. There is a popular culture and academic culture. There are, outside world is there, outside academia. So most of the people, they are not, what's happening in the academic world, most of the people are completely ignorant about it. For example, some 8-9 years back, there was one Robert Lenza somebody. He proposed one idea called biocentrism, which is very popular in modern now science. So life is at the center of the universe, something, biocentrism, like that. Anyway, I'll not go deeper into details of that now. But why I am saying is that we are all like you don't know about it at all. You are all completely ignorant about what's happening in the academic world. So there is public culture is there, and then there is academic culture. World is divided like that. So we don't have any voice in the academic world. So it's not that scientists are studying because of our preaching. Scientists are studying Bhagavatam cosmology. It's not like that. They are completely they are completely unaware that there is something like Bhagavatam cosmology is there or Vedic cosmology is there. So they think, oh, this is all mythology. something, we don't have. So anyway, we don't have say in the academic world. So in this way, we may be considered as less intelligent people actually by academic scholars. So in the academic world, we are considered as ignorant. And within the Vedic culture, we are considered as less intelligent because Bhakti Yoga is meant for less intelligent. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was in Varanasi, all these followers of Prakashananda Saraswati, Mayavadi Sannyasi. So he criticized Chaitanya, why you are doing? You are a sannyasi, and that too you have taken sannyas in Bharati Sampradaya, that too Mayavadi Sampradaya. So Bhavo ke rasanga, here word emotional has come here in this purport. Devotees are not emotional, simply emotional. So his claim was that, his criticism was that, Prakashananda Saraswati, that you are chanting and dancing in the association of sentimentalists. He says, Bhavo ke rasanga kare kirtana nartana, like that. So you have to study Vedanta. Why? Because Shankaracharya, he taught Vedanta vakeshu sada ramantaha kopinavanta kalu bhagyavanta. So those who are absorbed in Vedanta, in the Vedanta Vakya, in the statements of Vedanta, trying to understand Vedanta, Sadaramanta, always immersed in that, always taking pleasure in that. Kopinavanta Kalubhagyavanta. So those who have taken sannyas, they are the most fortunate. So in this way, Shankaracharya, he emphasized on study of Vedanta. And Bhakti Yoga is meant for less intelligent people, like that. That's how the impression came. So, or Jnana Yoga, they call it. Jnana Yoga means you have to philosophically try to understand everything. Sankhyites. So they study the 24 material elements. So in this way, Bhakti yogis are considered less intelligent. Of course, there are other Vedic followers also, Karma yogis, they say, Karma Kandis. So of Jaimini and his follower, they say that Jnana yogis and Bhakti yogis, they are not incapable, they are also incapable, therefore they don't engage in Karma Kanda. Incapable means they are poor, like that. Those who are poor, they engage in. So everyone claims that their path is the best. Therefore, Prabhupada, he said that Bhakti Vedanta, whenever they hear the name, Prabhupada used to come and say, he is Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. My name is Bhakti Vedanta. Whenever people say Bhakti Vedanta, they will be surprised. Why Mayavadis? Because Vedanta means, in Vedanta there cannot be bhakti, only is mental speculation, impersonal Brahman. Where is the question of, when you are worshipping impersonal Brahman, where is the question of bhakti comes there actually? Of course, they have some idea of bhakti. They interpret that bhakti in the beginning, it is okay to focus the mind, like that they will say. They are surprised that my name is Bhakti Vedanta, like that he says, because Mayavadis, somewhere or other, even in Western countries, about whenever they spoke about Vedic philosophy or Hindu philosophy, Hinduism means it's a pantheistic religion. Plus, if they at all have any philosophy, whatever it is Shankara's Mayavad. Ultimately, you worship many gods. In the end, become one with the Brahman. There is spirit. So Shankara's Mayavad became very famous in the Western countries. So that it became like as though replaced Vedic means immediately Shankara's Mayavad. Vedic philosophy means. So Vedanta means Shankara's Mayavad. So it was surprising when Prabhupada's name was Bhakti Vedanta for everyone. So that is one thing. So devotees are not, devotees study cosmology, devotees study Sankhya, 24 material elements. Like Bhagavatam includes everything, you see. There is Sankhya philosophy, there is yoga, there is everything, all the philosophies are there. So we are not less than anything else. And another thing Prabhupada used to say in context with the modern academics, science. So we are challenging big philosophers, big scientists. I am not official scholar, scientist, philosopher in academic sense, but still we are challenging them. Why? Because we know something about this person, little bit about this person, Krishna. We don't know everything about Krishna, but something we know. Then Prabhupada would quote this verse, Yasmin vigyate sarvam evam vigyatam bhavati. So now historically, if you see, Westerners came to India, and especially Indology, study of Sanskrit or study of South Asian religions, etc. That is called as basically Indology. It became Indology. Study of India, basically. When Indology was originated, so basically what they were trying to do is they wanted to convert Indians to Christianity. Of course, there are many purposes. They wanted to basically morally they wanted to weaken so that they can rule politically. They can rule over India, and also to convert them to Christianity. That was one side. So the whole purpose was that they were trying. And the other side was that side by side in the Western country, science was becoming very prominent. So, and as science was becoming prominent, Christianity was being refuted there in the West. So now the war is between Christianity and Vedic and scientific. So there is fight between Christians and scientists to some extent, but there was no challenge, Vedic challenge, until Srila Prabhupada he challenged them. So Vedic challenge. In the present day, there is some backlash, Hindu backlash towards Christianity, but they don't have any voice in context with science actually. So in context with science. So you are getting my point? So for instance, this Aryan invasion theory and all they are trying to refute. This Rajiv Malhotra is there. He is trying to refute all this. But it's all on a superficial, and he is fighting for Sanskrit. And but whatever he is trying to do is very superficial way, on a surface level, because the content is he doesn't know. For example, I'll just ask, one person asked about him about continental drift theory. So he believes that, Rajiv Malhotra believes that continental, initially there was only land was there. Then gradually oceans, in geology you study this, in geology and geography. Basically geology and geography, there is a theory called continental drift theory. Initially, everything was just land. Then oceans started forming, and the continents their land got separated, and in this way, different continents got formed. So they have that idea. But if you study Vedic philosophy, if you study, we don't hear all this kind of things, right? So like that, they may superficially. So in this way, we have to present this philosophy, Vedic philosophy, as described in Srimad Bhagavatam. But our present purpose is to bring them to Krishna consciousness. They should learn to appreciate the glories of Krishna. Everything they should understand from Krishna's point of view. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada wanted BI he established BI in 1970s to challenge scientists. Any questions, comments? Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki